Good morning. So, not going to be very long today. We're going to think about a couple of different things. This week, one of the things we're doing within our martial arts classes is a little bit of character building. And what I've chosen to do with the kids is to do some hard stuff. Ask them to take the harder option, ask them to push themselves a little bit further, to do something that they find difficult, not because we want them to fail or because we don't want them to have a good time, but because we want them to understand that sometimes you're going to have to do hard things in life. And the more often we get used to doing hard things, the better we get at them. And it's in doing those difficult things that we grow the most. We will fail, we will learn things, but we will come out of it better. So that's kind of been the focus this week. And it's got me thinking about, you know, most people's approach to this. You have two ends of the scale. You have people who always take the easy option. These are the people that coast through life and never challenge themselves. They don't want to, for whatever reason that may be. And that is not a judgment on people that do that. It's just their way of living. And then you've got people on the other end of the spectrum who are always doing the hard thing. And you look at them and you think, why don't you just do something a little bit easier for a change? There's two ends of the spectrum. And either way is not where we want to be. We want to be somewhere in the middle. We want to have the self-awareness to know when we need to push ourselves, when we need a kick up the arse and we need to challenge ourselves to do the hard thing. But we also need to know when it's better to take the easy option. Because if we're constantly doing the hard thing all the time, we're going to burn out, we're going to get overwhelmed, it's going to become too much. And we get the opposite effect. If we're always taking the easy option, then we're never going to grow. We want to sit somewhere in the middle and have the capacity to choose either way based on what we need at any given moment. That is someone who is able to really control their life, to command their life, and to live it at a different level. For me, I was always doing the hard thing, and it took a lot of training to sometimes take the easy option. So think about where you sit on that scale. Are you the person that always takes the easy way out, or are you the person that always does the hard thing? Think about which side of the scale you sit on. For most, it will be taking the easy option, because more often than not, we become comfortable with our lives. We become comfortable with the day to day. And it's not doing hard things that actually keeps us stuck. We become comfortable with our own bullshit, our own excuses. But if you've never had to do anything hard in life, when life does get hard, which it will, you will inevitably crumble. And this is what I was explaining to the kids. The more we train ourselves to do hard things and to learn from them and to grow with them, the more chance we've got of going a little bit further in life, coping, dealing with the hard stuff that's going to happen to us. And more often than not, we don't do the hard stuff because we convince ourselves that the easier option is better for us. We think that it's what we need. It's like having a drink, or instead of taking the time to cook yourself something decent for dinner, you order a takeaway because it's the easy option. You think, well, one won't hurt. But then it's that one that becomes another one. Oh, another one won't hurt. I've already had one. I'll have another one. And then another one. And then another one. And before you know it, it's escalated. And we start to get addicted to the hits. The chemicals that are released in the brain keep us coming back for more and more and more. And before we know it, we're having to do even more to get that same little chemical hit, the one that makes us feel good. And then all of a sudden, through a mixture of brain chemistry and self-allowance, we've got ourselves stuck. And it seems like then all we can do is keep taking the easy option. And it starts to reinforce the behavior. It starts to create habits. It starts to create patterns until we begin to normalize it, until it alters our worldview so much that suddenly the stuff that we know that isn't good for us becomes our normal reality. We don't even know why we're doing it anymore. It's just something that we do. People going home drinking an entire bottle of wine every night. That's not a judgment. It happens. You know it's not good for you, but you've done it so many times that it's become normal. And that won't change for you until you've trained your self awareness to see things a little bit differently, until you stop allowing your own bullshit and you choose to do something harder, until you choose to challenge those frames that you see the world through and start to push a little bit, start to push back against what has become your normal reality and challenge yourself to see something new, to do something new, and it's not easy because the easy thing has got you where you are now. It's going to be hard, but it's in that you'll start to change. And then maybe one day you'll reach a point where your self awareness is good enough to know that your bullshit won't escalate. Can you do one thing without spiraling off? Do you have enough self awareness to know what's better for you? What's the best option here, regardless of whether it's hard or whether it's easy? So, the main thing today is to understand that sometimes we've got to do hard things. Sometimes what's best for us is doing something that is challenging, particularly if you found yourself in a place where you're always taking the easy option and you find yourself stuck. And it's not about distracting yourself, it's not about trying to do all of these things to validate yourself. It's about breaking those patterns and getting yourself away from what has become normal, what has become comfortable, to start to create a shift. And the more that you do that, and the more that you start to lean into these harder things, the better you're going to get. Your confidence is going to increase. Your self-worth is going to increase. You're going to feel better. So it's about knowing yourself, where you sit on that scale. Are you the person that's always doing the hard things, and the hard thing for you now would actually be doing the easy thing? Or are you the person that always takes the easy option and stays still and stays in your comfort zone and know that you need to maybe do something a bit harder? So the question today is, what kind of bullshit are you allowing in your life? And what would be something that you could do to challenge that? So consider yourself, consider your life, have a little look at it. What are you allowing? And how can you start to challenge that? What would be your hard thing to do? And then see if you can go ahead and do it. So that's everything for today. Have a think about it. If you're someone who has a journal, maybe do a little bit of journaling on it. You can drop me a comment below. Let me know what your hard thing is and what you're going to do about it. Let me know. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I'll see you all soon.